I can imagine as you guys were coming, you were thinking of the issue of welfare. Amongst human beings, when you are in a group working, for instance, maybe here, the lecturers, they have a welfare organization that when someone has a challenge, they come to the person's aid. But then when we talk about animal welfare, what is it about? Basically, animal welfare is the physical, psychological, social, and environmental well-being of animals. There is actually no general statement to exactly explain what animal welfare is, but this statement quite captures a lot. So for the animal, the environment has an effect on its welfare. Its interaction with other animals has an effect on its welfare, so the social well-being. They also have psychology, just as human beings. So the psychological welfare is also important, or the psychological well-being is also important. And so is the physical well-being also very, very important. We will be going deeper and deeper as we move along, but keep this definition in your head. Animal welfare is the physical, psychological, social, environmental well-being of animals. But then, why is animal welfare even important? Why do we need animal welfare? In 2010, these researchers did a research that they came to the conclusion that the public, the general public, there is an increasing interest or concern about animal welfare. And so a lot of people are becoming more interested. And like I said at the beginning of our discussion, look at the number of people that are here. We are all here because we are interested in animal welfare. It shows you that as society progresses, our knowledge about the animal increases, and we come to understand more that animals need welfare. And so when you take, say, 10 people, you will get a good number that are interested in animal welfare. I know that even in this school, and currently among the Year 6 students, some of them have taken it upon themselves to try and study how people relate to animal, and when something happens to the animal, how they feel. And these sort of studies are very, very, very important because it tells us how the people or our clients are attached to the animals. Just recently, about last week Sunday, I was called from home to come to the hospital because there was a lady who had brought his dog, and the dog was not really responding to treatment. It was almost terminal. And the woman was crying. And when I got here, it was, I'm struggling to find the words to explain, but the woman was really in bad shape. She was wailing. You know, when we say wailing, it's not crying, you know. Like the woman was, I had to hold her because she was like falling and crying, boy, boy. Yes. And this is the sort of attachment that people have with their animals. So our work is not just with the animal, but also the human being. And this is how you should see your work. Because a lot of people in the society are becoming more and more interested in the welfare of animals. Furthermore, veterinarians, we as veterinarians, we are uniquely positioned because for us, we carry ourselves as experts in animal well-being. So you could be in the clinic and someone will come to you and ask that, my dog is not eating, or my cat does not want to come near me, what should I do? For the client, he thinks you know everything about animals. So just recently, someone, as an example, someone called me asking about snails. that he wants to rear snails, what should he do? And honestly, I have no experience with snails. But for the public, they think that a veterinarian knows everything about animals. So that is the sort of profession that you are coming in. And because of that, you should have a good understanding of animals and their welfare, because the public will come to you when they need something. Okay, so I think the last statement has been addressed. Moreover, for a veterinarian, your regulators, the regulators of the profession, lays down some responsibilities that you should be able to meet. And some of them is that you have an ethical responsibility to use your training and your abilities to benefit your patients, other animals, and the society at large. And you need to continually improve your skills and build on them in order to provide that sort of care for the animal, and even for the patients that you are handling, and even other animals. Also, when you finish school and you are being inducted into the profession, there's an oath that you swear. Have you heard of it before? Have you? Can someone tell me the name? The Hippocratic Oath. So for that oath, there is a phrase in it, which is, do no harm. Do no harm. So you are swearing an oath that you are going to do no harm to an animal. So who is better positioned to take care of the welfare of animals? It is you. So, because of that principle in our ethics, we must be considered before, we should consider that, in fact, that's oath that we swear. We should consider it before we do anything with our animals, before we do any intervention, whether it be physical, whether it be surgical, whatever intervention that we want to do, we need to think about the principle of do no harm. So you have that responsibility in your practice. In some instances, doing nothing may be beneficial to the animal. And in other instances, you're not doing anything could be harmful to the animal. So you see the sort of responsibility that you have. It is quite a weighty responsibility. Sometimes you don't have to do anything because you intervening is a problem. You are rather going to harm the animal by intervening. Other times, the fact that you are not intervening can actually implicate you. You could be referred to an ethics committee or even the court of law, that you have this responsibility as part of your profession, but you did not achieve that responsibility, or you did not take care of that responsibility. So what we are discussing here today is very, very important. Then let's try to answer the question, why is animal welfare important during the veterinary visit? So when you are in a clinic and someone brings their animal, why is animal welfare important? In fact, if you are able to maximize animal welfare, there is a higher chance that you will be able to get the best of outcomes in the work that you are doing. You can improve your clinical and surgical outcomes by maximizing your animal welfare skills. Furthermore, you can improve your client-doctor relationship. I know a technician that when someone brings their animal, as they are treating and the dog is maybe struggling, he will give a knock. And this happens a lot of times when you are working with him. Unfortunately for him, one day, he was handling a cat. And as he was handling the cat, he held the cat in such a way that I think the cat was not breathing. So it was a castration that they were performing on that cat. By the time they were halfway through the castration, the cat was dead. So how are you going to tell the client that the cat that I brought for castration is dead? You see how serious this thing is. In fact, I remember that day, the technician plus the doctor who was performing the surgery eventually had to speak French because the client was sitting there waiting for them to finish with their castration. But the cat was dead. And they couldn't say it out loud when they realized it. So they had to change from English to French, hoping that the client will not hear what they are saying. But eventually you have to break the news to the person. And how are you going to explain yourself? I saw a video on the internet also to buttress the same point where this happened somewhere in America. Someone brought their dog for grooming. And as the technician or whoever was grooming the animal, I think the animal was struggling, and the guy he got angry. And what he did was that he hit the head of the animal like that. So with 2 hands, pa. Do you know what happened next? The animal just went down like that, and that was the end. If you maximize your animal welfare, you can improve your clinical and surgical outcomes. Conversely, stress, fear, anxiety, or pain in animal patients can have profound clinical effects, either physically, physiologically, or psychologically. Okay, I honestly don't know why this thing keeps moving too fast. Okay, so now let's see what are some of the factors that affect animal welfare. So the animal sits in the center of a lot of factors that has an effect on its welfare. So if you live in a country where there is a lot and well-developed pet-related industries, you would have a lot of things at your disposal to help your animal. And in such an instance, the animal might be better off than living in a country where there is not a lot of pet-related industries. While working in the clinic, we've had instances where we need a particular drug in order to help a patient, but we can't find it. But elsewhere, these things are available and you can access it to help your animal. So these things have an effect on the animal. Also, the owner and their cultural values have a profound effect on the animal. In certain countries, animals are seen as companions, especially dogs, for instance, are seen as companions. Elsewhere, they are seen as food. Am I lying? So cultural values have profound effect on animals. Also, the community, the general perception of the people that live around. For instance, we've heard as we are working here in this hospital and other places, we've heard people say that when they were bringing their animals for procedures, say like cesarean section, people were like, hey, are you sure a dog needs to go to the hospital for cesarean? A lot of people in the community do not know that maybe the animal is struggling and needs help. And so the general perception in the community also matters, and it has an effect on the animal's welfare. Furthermore, the economics. There have been times where people will come to the hospital. We tell them that buy this particular medication to help your animal. But unfortunately, the money is not there. So in such an instance, the animal's welfare is compromised. There's a particular drug that we give over there that can help take care of ticks and fleas for over 3 months. And it's just a tablet you give, and that's all. But there is also another way to treat ticks. You can just bath them, but that one you need to do it weekly for over a month in order to achieve the same result. And it is difficult to do that. But it's very, very cheap to do that. When you compare bathing the animal with the medication that we have to the tablets that we give, it's about 8 times the price of the bathing. So if you don't have money, you'll not be able to provide the best of care for the animal. Okay. I think I'm talking too much, so they decided to take away. Okay, I have a backup here, so. Okay, the other thing that has an effect on animals is also the politics of the country. For instance, if one day we wake up and the government says that we should depopulate all the stray dogs, what will we do? We would have to depopulate them. If that is law, we have to follow it. But is that in the best interest of the animals that are walking on the street? No, they've not done anyone wrong. But we have to depopulate them. So the politics of the country also matters. And like I was saying, there's going to be a time where if you don't treat your animal well, you'll be jailed. And so the politics matters. So a lot of factors actually influence the welfare of animals. But there are 5 general principles or guidelines that I want you to take home today. If you are a clinician, if you are a practicing vet, these 5 points should be at the back of your head, because this is what you'll be working with. And if you're able to master this and practice them well, I assure you, you'll get the best of results. In fact, this principle is not just limited to our hospital, or it wasn't developed by me, honestly. It was developed by some group of researchers in the US. And in fact, these principles are being used even in countries like UK. And I don't know if you guys have heard of PDSA, but it is a very, very big public veterinary institution for animals in the UK. And these are the principles that they use. And in fact, these are what we can also use to help our animals, especially when we are working in clinical practice. First of all, there is a need for a suitable environment for all animals under your care. There's a need for a suitable diet. There's also a need for them to be housed with or apart from other animals. The need to be able to exhibit normal behavior patterns, and the need to be protected from pain, suffering, injury, and disease.